The arena floor trembled beneath 8 tons of muscle and bone as Kethvar the Devourer circled his prey. The Vorthak warrior's obsidian claws scraped against the metallic surface, leaving deep gouges that sparked in the artificial light. His 4 eyes, each the size of dinner plates, focused on the small figure standing motionless in the center of the ring. The human was unremarkable by any standard Kethvar understood. No natural armor, no visible weapons, no intimidating size. The creature barely reached his knee joint. Its pink skin looked soft and vulnerable, stretched over a frame that seemed designed more for running than fighting. The betting pools had been unanimous. This would be over in seconds. "Behold!" roared the arena announcer, his voice echoing through the massive coliseum. "The terror of 12 systems faces a creature from the unknown species called human." The crowd of various alien species erupted in laughter. Kethvar had earned his reputation across the galaxy, having never lost a single combat in over 300 battles. He had crushed the armored shells of Kryxian warriors, torn through the energy shields of plasma lords, and devoured the crystalline hearts of silicon wraiths. This tiny, weak thing before him was an insult. The human looked up at him then, and Kethvar saw something that made him pause. The creature was smiling, not grimacing in fear, not trembling with terror, smiling. A genuine, almost friendly expression that exposed rows of small, flat teeth. Kethvar's mandibles clicked in amusement. The sound echoed like grinding stone. "You smile, little meat?" His voice was a rumbling bass that could shatter glass. "Do you not understand what I am?" The human's smile widened. "Oh, I understand perfectly," the creature replied in surprisingly clear galactic standard. "You're a predator." "The apex predator," Kethvar roared, rearing back on his hind legs to display his full 12-foot height. "I have killed thousands. I have—" "Made one mistake," the human interrupted softly. The arena fell silent. Even the bloodthirsty crowd seemed stunned by the audacity. Kethvar's eyes narrowed to burning slits. "And what mistake is that, little prey?" The human's smile never wavered. "You assumed we were prey." Before Kethvar could process the meaning behind those words, the battle horn sounded. The great predator lunged forward, claws extended, jaws gaping wide enough to swallow the human whole. His movement was lightning fast, a blur of death that had ended countless lives. The human moved faster. It wasn't possible. The creature had no cybernetic enhancements, no power armor, no genetic modifications that Kethvar could detect. Yet, somehow the human flowed around his strike like liquid mercury, ending up behind him before his claws could even touch the spot where it had been standing. Kethvar spun, confused but not yet concerned. He was still the superior fighter. This was just unexpected agility. Prey animals often had quick reflexes before the inevitable end. He struck again, and again the human simply wasn't there. Each attack met empty air as the small figure danced around him with impossible grace. The crowd's laughter began to fade, replaced by confused murmurs. "Stand still and die," Kethvar bellowed, his strikes becoming wilder, more desperate. "That's the thing about humans," the creature said conversationally, still smiling as it evaded a claw swipe that would have bisected most beings. "We're persistence hunters. We don't need to be faster than our prey over short distances. We just need to outlast them." Kethvar's breathing was becoming labored. How was this possible? He was the perfect killing machine, evolved over millions of years to be the ultimate predator. This creature was nothing, a weak, soft thing that should have been dead a dozen times over. "You see," the human continued, still moving with that fluid grace, "on our world, we weren't the strongest or the fastest. We couldn't fly or breathe underwater or survive in extreme cold, but we had something else. We had endurance and patience and the ability to learn." As if to demonstrate, the human's movements suddenly changed. Where before it had been purely defensive, now it began to strike back. Precise, calculated hits to nerve clusters and joint connections that Kethvar had never even known existed on his own body. Each strike was small, seemingly insignificant, but they accumulated like drops. of acid eating through metal. Cathavar stumbled, his left rear leg suddenly unresponsive. Panic crept into his four eyes as he realized the human hadn't been running from him. It had been studying him, learning his anatomy, his movement patterns, his weaknesses. "We learned to track wounded mammoths across continents," the human said, landing another precisely targeted strike. "We learned to hunt creatures 10 times our size by simply refusing to give up. We didn't need to catch them on the first day, or the second, or even the 10th. We just needed to keep following, keep pressure on the wound, keep them moving until exhaustion took them." Another leg went numb, then an arm. Keithvar's perfect predator body was betraying him, shutting down system by system as the human continued its methodical assault. The arena had gone completely silent, thousands of beings watching in horrified fascination as the impossible unfolded before them. "The funny thing about being an apex predator," the human said, its voice still calm and conversational, "is that you never learn to fight something that fights back. You only know how to kill prey." Kethvar collapsed, his massive frame hitting the arena floor with a thunderous crash. He tried to roar, to show defiance even in defeat, but only a weak wheeze emerged from his throat. The human had severed something vital, not enough to kill quickly, but enough to ensure this was over. The small figure walked over to where Kethvar's great head lay against the cold metal. The predator's 4 eyes focused on the human's face, with tremendous effort. That same smile was still there, unchanged from the beginning. "The other thing about humans," the creature said softly, leaning close enough that only Kethvar could hear, "is that when we smile like this, it usually means we're thinking about hunting something." Understanding dawned in Kethvar's fading consciousness. That expression. He had seen it before in the faces of creatures about to kill. It wasn't a smile of friendliness or fear. It was the expression of a predator selecting its target. The last thing the Terror of 12 system saw was that human smile, and finally, too late, he understood what it meant. He had been wrong about who was the predator and who was the prey. The arena erupted as the human stood victorious, still, smiling that same patient, predatory smile that had marked the end of the greatest hunter the galaxy had ever known. The age of human expansion had begun,